How you guys doing? TF2Dove here, and today, well, from the title of the video, you guys already know I'm going to be talking about what I kind of want to see from the Pyro update. So at this point, it's got to be around the corner. It's been almost a year, I think. So I'm imagining it's going to be out within the next month, maybe the next month, or perhaps the next month. It's going to be out soon. I'm suspecting sometime this summer. So I figured we'd start off with the smaller things. These are kind of like small little quality of life fixes, and I'll save the best for last. So the very first thing, and it's a rather minor thing, but it annoys the crap out of me. At the end of a game, when you see that leaderboard, the map vote for the very next map you guys are going to be playing on blocks the top scoring players' names and stats, so you can't see how they did. The second thing, kind of going off on that, is that at the end of a game, the lobby doesn't scramble, so if the teams are very stacked, they'll stay stacked until basically everyone leaves the server. Next, the Manco catalog, for whatever reason, has a headgear option, despite everything now being a misc, so it looks a little bit off, because you just click on a tab, just blank, there's no hats, you don't deserve hats, there's no hats, it's just, they don't exist. Aliens. The next thing, which I think is actually quite important, especially for the competitive mode, view models are still a little bit too close for most people. I think I play at like 107, which is pretty far. But I was thinking, alright, the current is 70, so I think extending that limit to 90 would be fair. And speaking of weapons, not all of your weapons can be inspected in the game. So you can twirl around your fancy skinned scattergun, but you can't check out the stock, which seems a little bit out of place. Something in like CSGO, you can inspect all of the weapons by pressing F, but in TF2, you can only inspect specific ones, which is a little bit weird. It just doesn't seem consistent. And kind of going off that, you can inspect all weapons in your backpack. You can only inspect ones with skins, and I think maybe some of the new festives, but I'm not entirely sure. Just either way, inspecting weapons in backpack and game, a little bit inconsistent. Speaking of inconsistent, this next thing is actually a pretty big deal, especially if they decide to add back vote scrambles and for the current vote kicks. When you vote, you can either vote F1 for yes, F2 for no. For those that don't know, the contract drawer actually opens with F2, and sometimes it glitches out. When you press F2 to vote no to kick someone, it'll open that contract drawer and you actually can't vote no, so it kind of gets in the way of the vote there, which makes it impossible to kick people. Another thing, which is actually pretty darn important, I don't know why it hasn't been added yet, because I think it used to be a thing. Replays aren't supported by Valve servers, so that means creators like Geejuice, whoever else uses replays, they can't use it, you can't utilize it. You can use demos, but replays, for whatever reason, are not supported by Valve servers, so I'm hoping they're holding off on adding replays to their servers until they overhaul the replay system, but honestly, I don't know. It's not a thing, apparently. And speaking of things that are also weird and kind of wonky, the floating health bars above your teammates are pretty glitchy and they sometimes disappear. And that's really, really bad for medics and also spies, and I've figured out how to solve it if it happens to me in-game. But for the new players, they won't know how to solve it, so they won't know what health their patient or their... It's weird. You should be able to see your health consistently. You can't. And this last thing, it's not really small, but I'd argue it's pretty important, and it's definitely a quality of life fix. I wouldn't say small at all. But the tutorial and training mode in TF2 is lacking all of the advanced mechanics. So it doesn't even have something as simple as rocket jumping or sticky jumping. And it's lacking a lot of the classes, and I might come back to this for a future video, but I argue having a revamped tutorial training mode is kind of important. Now that I got all these little tiny things, some a little bit are pretty major, but I got these little kind of fixes out of the way. Now, of course, the Pyro update, it's about the Pyro, it's a little bit about the Heavy, they're going to add some new stuff. At this point, we already kind of know, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe I've heard things around that the Source Filmmaker short will be coming with the Pyro update, and I'm under the impression that the Pyro update and the Jungle update will be one and the same, so I believe they'll be combined together. I might be wrong, I'm not entirely sure. And as for things that we do know for sure, Banny on his stream has been talking about Valve deciding to rebalance weapons instead of make new ones, which is honestly good, because we got a lot of weapons you can't really use at the moment. So Valve's going to be trying to make some of their weapons that are underused into side grades, and that is awesome. I'll go on tangent about that later, but really good. And they're also going to be fixing competitive matchmaking. I believe they're adding an ELO system, which, for those of you that don't know, it's going to make it so that all your games are actually a little bit more balanced, a little bit more fun. You're not going to be in as many roles, because oh, it's going to be great. Like, I'm looking forward to it. Now, the most obvious thing, Pyro's getting a rework or a buff. I'm not really sure. But I personally think he doesn't need too much. He's in a good place. The thing that he really needs is his flamethrower is very inconsistent. Like, sometimes it'll light people on fire, sometimes it won't. It relies heavily on your ping and your opponent's ping. So I feel like if just really for Pyro, you need to work with that weapon mojo and make a lot of make M1 great again. I don't know what else to call it. Like, M1 right now it's okay. It depends on your ping, depends on your opponent's ping. So make M1 consistent, I feel like, is the main thing I want to see in the Pyro update. Now, this last thing I kind of hinted at a little bit, but... So I really want to see some changes with the meta, namely in side grades, because for you that aren't really sure of what 6s entails, the meta for 6s has been pretty stagnant for, honestly, I think, I want to say since it was basically created, it's been roughly the same, except with a few weapons like the Cow Mangler being usable, but a majority of like the off-meta items aren't really side grades, and I want to see those weapons turn into side grades, and I believe, according to Banny, that's what's going to happen. I'm really looking forward to it. And for those that really don't know, a side grade would be Grenade Launcher versus the Iron Bomber. Point being, they're going to be turning weapons on the same thing, so you can basically use most, if not all of the weapons in competitive, which is going to be awesome. They're not going to be gimmicks anymore. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to, though, I really hope they unnerf some of the demo sorts. They murdered the crap out of those things. And although, like, there are some games where they have the meta change every season, like Overwatch, I think the meta has changed for that game every season. I'm not looking for that for TF2, I'm just looking for more weapons in the arsenal, more viable options. I don't want them to shatter the 6's meta, but I don't want them to keep it that stagnant pool, and I think that's what Valve is going for, which I'm really looking forward to it. So this has kind of been my wish list for the Pyro update. I've got a little bit of speculation, a little bit of fact from Banny in here, but as you guys can probably tell, I'm really excited for this update. I think it's probably going to happen this month, maybe next month, maybe even the next month. I don't know when, I'm just guessing, but I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like it's going to bring a lot to the table of TF2. And honestly, it's like, I can't wait. Like, this is like, I'm freaking counting down the days on my calendar now. Like, I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been my speculations, my hopes, my dreams about the Pyro update. And fingers crossed it'll be coming soon, and fingers crossed it'll be worth the wait. So anyway, guys, I will see you all in a future video. Have a good day.